Okay.
the session.
A very good morning to one and all present today. Myself, Assistant Professor Yogita Dhatavkar, welcome you all for the second session of our 7-day state level workshop of research methodology. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Shraddha Bhome Madam to enlighten us on the topic of review of literature and formation of objective and hypothesis. Also, we have our principal, Dr. Sunil Karve sir. I hope all the participants will get benefited from today's session. All the very best for them. And I request now Assistant Professor Pooja Tiwari Madam to introduce our speaker for today. Thank you so much.
A very good morning to all present over here for the session. I, Assistant Professor Pooja Tiwari of AVM's Karmavir Bhavrao Patil Degree College, would like to introduce our speaker of the session for today, Dr. Shraddha Bhome ma'am. She is Vice Principal of Self-Financing Courses in Gyan Sadhana College. She has more than 20 years of experience in teaching. She has received award for scoring highest marks in MPhil. She has also received award for outstanding performance in the field of education and many more. She has recognized as PhD guide in commerce and management at JJT University. Ma'am has presented 71 research papers in both national and international level conferences, in which in 23 papers has been recognized as best paper. Ma'am has authored and co-authored various textbooks of undergraduate and postgraduate courses. Ma'am has been a PhD guide to many research scholars. Till now, 9 have been completed PhD under her guidance. At present, she has been guide to 3 students for pursuing PhD. Now, without taking much time, I would request ma'am to please proceed with the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much for a beautiful introduction in the lovely morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Sunil Karve sir, the principal of KBP Degree College, Thane, Vice Principal, Assistant Professor Santosh Gavde sir, for giving me this opportunity to share my little experience of research with you all. Thank you both of you for this opportunity. Now, shall I start sharing the screen? Yes. So, as rightly said by Pooja ma'am, today our flow chart of discussion will be, we will first enlighten ourselves on what is topic and what is title, and what is the difference between the topic and the title of the study. Then we will go for review of literature. Then we will find out the gap between the review of literature and the current work which you wants to do in future. So gap analysis. From gap analysis, we will formulate the research problem statement. From the problem statements, we will go to and find out the research questions, and then we will frame the objectives from the research question, and finally, yes, we will frame and define the hypothesis of the study. So is this graph chart clear to everyone? The sequence goes like this. First, you have to think of the topic. From topic, you have to develop the title. Related to title, by understanding the keywords, You have to search for the literature, and after searching the literature, you have to do the review of it. From the review, you will find out the gap. From the gap, have the problem statement, and from problem statement, of course, you will define the research questions, and from the basis of questions, you will go and frame objectives of the study. And down the line with that, you need to frame the hypothesis. So, let's begin. How to select the topic first of all. That is a very important concept for every research. So it is a first step in the research process. A topic is the main organizing principle guiding the analysis of your research. Topic offers an occasion for writing and a focus that governs what we want to say. So, topic represents the core subject matter of scholarly communication and means by which we arrive at other topics, and finally we should discover the new knowledge out of it. So, choosing your topic is the first step in every research process. Be aware that selecting a good topic, may not be easy. It must be narrow and focused enough to be interesting, yet broad enough to find out the adequate information. What I said, be aware that selecting a topic is not easy. It must be narrow and focused enough to be interesting to the other one who is reading the same. But at the same time, it must be broadened enough to find out the adequate information. So, the first trick which I would like to give you is pick up a topic that interests you. You are going to live with this topic for a year together if you're doing a PhD. And if you're writing a research paper, at least 3 to 6 months, you will read, you will write, and you will narrate. So choose something that will hold your interest and that might you even be excited about. So your attitude towards your topic will come across in your writing. And yes, when you write, you are able to present it. So brainstorming is a technique you can use to help your generate ideas. So brainstorming exercises and resources will help you to develop your topic. So you must be open to ideas. Read few dissertations, few research papers, few theses, which will help you to generate idea. Apply the technique, namely concept mapping, which will help you to select the topic you want to explore. You can look for the topics online as well because it is a reliable source nowadays. So make an effort to shortlist 3 to 4 topics so that it becomes easier for you to select the one which you want. So the topic should be of your own interest so that you can justify it easily. The chosen topic should be the one you love to write on because writing a research paper or writing a thesis is not something which you can complete in one day. So it takes months to complete the research paper and it takes the years to complete the thesis. So you must be passionate about the topic of the study. So be aware that selecting a good topic is not easy. It must be narrow and focused, but at the same time, it must not be too broad. So before selecting your topic, make sure that you know what your final project should look like. And each instructor or your guide will require a different format of writing these research reports. So there are certain things which you have to keep in mind, that sometimes you need to narrow your research topic. That is the most common challenge you may face. Even if your guide gives you specific topic to the study, it won't be a specific topic. You need to frame the title out of the topic. So what things you will keep in mind? You will choose certain aspects. Then you will choose certain components. In order to narrow down, you will use some smaller area of analysis. You will try to find out relationship between two or more different variables, that is cause and effect relationship, compare or contrast relationship, group or individual relationship, male or female, that is gender related relationships, contemporary or historical relationship. Sometimes may focus on, you have to focus upon time boundness of the thing. You may focus on your topics in terms of specific type or class of people or place or things, such as a study on traffic patterns near school can focus only on SUVs or just student drivers or just the timing of spotlights in these areas, or you may use the combination of two. So this is how from the topic you will come to the title of the study. Yes, there is a difference between the topic and the title. Topic is a broad area. You have to niche down to the title. So the title summarizes the main idea or ideas of your study. A good title contains fewest possible words which will adequately describe the contents or the purpose of your research. So the title can be and the topic can be. Here is an example which I would like to give you. For example, if I want to study students' perception towards junk food, so this is a topic of the study. And what can be the title out of this? A study on school going students' behavior versus college going students' behavior towards junk food consumption in Thane city. So this is defining clear cut title. I am studying school going kids, college going kids. And what about them? Their behavior towards the junk food consumption. So I may compare it, but at the same time, I am narrowing down it to Thane city. So whatever are schools in Thane city and colleges in Thane city will be the sample respondents for me. So title must be specific, must be clear for the person who is understanding it. So while drafting a proper title, one must understand the title should have proper purpose of research, the narrative tone of the paper, and the methods used. So the initial aim of title is to capture the reader's attention and to draw his or her attention to the research problem being investigated in this future. So this is all about selecting the topic and framing the title. See, so for framing the title, as you can see on the screen, you need to think, you need to write, you need to edit, and you need to polish it upon. So once you do this, you are free to do the literature survey. A literature review survey. What will you do? A survey of literature. Which literature? which is already available. Where it is available? In books, journals, research papers, articles, periodicals, magazines, websites, various databases such as Google Scholar, Ibisco, InflibNet, EcoEdit, various databases are available for the researcher to get the information upon. What is literature? Something which is already available in black and white form. For whom? For the researcher. So, what he or she has to do? He or she has to just provide a description, just provide a summary and a critical evaluation of the existing literature which is already available in black and white form. So, literature reviews are designed to provide the overview of sources you have explored while researching the particular topic and to demonstrate your readers how your research fits into larger field of study. So, a literature review may consist of a summary of key sources, but it is usually a organizational pattern combines both the summary and synthesis, often within specific conceptual categories. So, it is a recap of important information of the source, but synthesis is reorganization, reshuffling of the information in a way that informs how you are planning to investigate a research problem. So, the analytical feature of literature review might give a new interpretation of old material or combine the new with old interpretation. Trace the intellectual progression of the field, including major debates. Depending on situation, evaluate the sources and advise the reader on the most pertinent or relevant. Usually, in conclusion of literature review, identify where gaps exist and how many problems are there and has been researched to this day. So there are simple 5 tips which you have to understand. Search for relevant literature, evaluate the sources, and then identify themes, debates, and gaps, outline the structure, write your literature review. So, a good literature review doesn't just summarize the sources, but it must analyze, synthesize, and critically evaluate to give a clear picture of the state of knowledge on the subject. Dear participants, this PPT will be shared with you after the lecture. Don't worry. This is just a pictorial presentation I have made. There is nothing like any contents I have written in the screen. So it will be shared with you after the lecture on your WhatsApp group by the organizing team. You may note down the points right now. So, the purpose of literature review is to place each work in the context of its contribution to the understanding of research problem being studied. Describe the relationship of each work to the others under consideration. Identify new ways to interpret and shed light on any gaps in previous research. So, resolve conflicts amongst seemingly contradictory previous studies. So, now I will be giving you a technique of how to do a literature review, a very important thing which you want to do in your life when you're going for literature review. The first, you will find out certain keywords related to your study. What do you mean by the keywords? Keywords are the important words which every person has to choose upon, right? You will put these keywords into you will put these keywords into Google Scholar or any other, you know, kind of databases which you want to focus upon. Okay, so keywords are the words which you will put up in the database or in Google Scholar. So selecting keywords for research article is not difficult, but it does take some strategizing. So the most important component of the article is the title. After title, it is a keyword. So it is rightly quoted that the search engine assumes that the title contains all important words that define the topic of the piece, and thus it gives higher weightage to the words appearing there. So, therefore, the words of the title represent the main concept of the article. In addition, the title should be clearly stated. Keyword usage in the body of article or abstract must be, at least 3 to 4 when you are writing a research paper. It will help. The best keywords are proper names, specific procedures or techniques, outcome areas, or that will help the others to find your research paper for their references. So keywords are the words that capture essence of your paper. Keywords make your paper searchable and ensure that you get more citations for your research work. Therefore, it is important to include the most relevant keywords which will help them to find your paper. So, I'm giving you some tricks to have the keywords not only for your research paper but to find out others' research paper for your literature survey. So, think from the point of view of reader, what keywords would the reader search for the article or to retrieve your article? Keywords should ideally be phrases of 2 to 4 words. Single word keywords are acceptable, but they may lead to many false matches. So, keywords should contain words and phrases that suggest what the topic is about. Also, include words and phrases that are closely related to your topic. So, in my example, as I told you, junk food, students' behavior, and consumption pattern can be the keywords under my study. Use variant terms or phrases that readers are likely to use. Some backbone, column, chunk food habitats kind of words I may use. So the full form of shortened words or acronyms and abbreviations can also be included. For example, if you are doing a study on ICT techniques adopted by banks, so ICT, this can be a keyword acronym which you can use in your research or you can use to find out the survey literature. So this is all about the keywords. Now, by putting up the keywords in your database, you will get lots of articles, journals, theses, research papers in your computer. Now, how to do? Once you download all the articles, make one folder. Give the name as literature survey to that folder. In that folder, every one of you will save all your downloaded research papers, theses, articles, website, blogs, whatever information you are getting related to title and topic of the study. After that downloading, kindly rename each and every article as 1, 2, 3, 4, like that wise numbers. Okay, so you will rename it with the numbers. Once you rename it with the numbers, you have your own notebook. This is your notebook. Okay, so in this notebook, what all you will do, this is one left hand side page and this is one right hand side page. On the top of left hand side page, white part, blank part, write down number 1. Then turn the page and again on the left hand side part, write down number 2. Then again on the next page, left hand side, give number 3 in your notebook. See what I have told? The very first step is download all the articles in one folder. Give the name to that folder as literature survey. In that literature survey, you all will download each article. You will then rename each article with the number. Same numbers you can give in your screen, in your page left hand side top white part. Then after that next page, after that next page. So you have to keep 2 pages blank for this one article. Now जैसे बोलते हैं love at first sight. So all of you will read that article and you will fall in love with that article definitely. And you will understand what that researcher has tried to write in that article. जैसे पहले बार हम पढ़ेंगे, we feel yes, wow, such a superb methodology he has written. Wow, so nice statistical techniques he or she has used. Wow, this is his research methodology. Yes, this sample size is being used or sample technique is being used by this researcher. Oh yes, this was his research universe. My God. So I should know this, what area, what sampling technique, what methodology he or she has adopted in his research work. So as it is love at first sight, I am feeling everything good about this article, what I am reading for the first time. So whatever I am feeling, I am writing on the left hand side page, which is a positive literature review or nothing but a summary of the research paper, but with all good points what the researcher has covered entirely in his research paper. So this is a type of literature review which you can say a systematic review. You will read, you will analyze, and you will evaluate systematically about what the researcher has tried to write in the research paper. But yes, as a researcher, if we want to continue same research, we should find out what is not covered by that researcher, and we therefore should go and see it critically. We should have argumentative review also. So उसके लिए right hand side का पेज रखा है ना. 2 दिन बाद, after 2 days, you all read that article again, read the positive points of the article which you have written, and then now start thinking critically, argumentatively, negatively, that what is not written by that researcher in the research paper or thesis, or what area he has not covered, or what he should have done in the research. So a combination of left-hand page and right-hand page will give you a summary of the pros and cons, what is good and what is not good, or we may not say bad, we may say what it should have been. So a critical and positive literature review is written by you in your own words in your notebook. Compiling together and paraphrasing it properly may also avoid your plagiarism in the chapter of review of literature. So this is how you will read, you will analyze, you will discuss positive and negative aspect of any research paper, jot it down in the notebook, and finally you will make a summary of it and type it in your research methodology, review of literature chapter. So the critical evaluation of each work should consider provenance. What are the author's credentials? Are the author's arguments supported by evidence? Objectivity. Is the author's perspective even handled or prejudicial? Is contrary data considered, or its certain pertinent information is ignored to prove his point? Are the author's arguments and conclusions convincing to the society, appealing to the readers? Does the work ultimately contribute in any significant way to an understanding of the subject? Yes, then only you can develop the good literature review. There are 4 stages for literature review. First, problem formulation. Which topic or field is being examined and what are its component issues? Then, literature search. Finding the material relevant to the subject being explored. Data evaluation, determining which literature makes a significant contribution to the understanding of the topic. And finally, analysis and interpretation, discussing the findings and conclusion of pertinent literature. Then only you will have the more focused literature review, and you should have clarity about the topic. Also, while doing the literature review, one must find the models. Use the exercise of reviewing the literature to examine how authors in your discipline or area of interest have composed their literature reviews. Read them to get a sense of the types of themes you might want to look for in your own research or ways to organize your final review. The bibliography or reference section of sources you have already read are also excellent entry points into your own research work, so that the narrower your topic, the easier it will be to limit the number of sources you need to read in order to obtain a good survey of resources. Your guide will probably not expect you to read everything that is available about the topic. Okay, but you will make your job easier if you first limit the scope of research problem. So for this, you will use the Homer catalog. So you have to organize your literature review in some ways. There are some methods in which you have to write your literature review. So far, I have taught you how to do the literature review and how to search for the literature. And now I will tell you the ways to organize your literature review. If your review follows the chronological method, you could write about the materials according to when they are published. So, in chronology of the events. This approach should only be followed if clear path of research building on previous research can be identified, and these trends follow a clear chronological order of development. I'll give you an example. A literature review that focuses on continuing research about, for example, emergence of German economic power after the fall of Soviet Union. If this is a kind of topic, you may go for chronology of the event and your literature review can be according to that. Then, other way of writing or organizing the literature review is by publication. By publication order, your sources by publication chronology, then only if order demonstrate a more important trend. For example, you could order a review of literature on environment studies of brown fields if the progression revealed change in soil collection practices of researchers who wrote and conducted the study. So it can be as per the year of publication by the authors. Then the third way of organizing literature review is thematic or conceptual categories. So thematic review of literature are organized around a topic of issue, rather than progression of time. So however, progression of time may still be important factor, no doubt, but a review of internet's impact on college going students could focus on development of internet, online learning, and its impact on college going students. So while the study focuses on one topic, the internet and its impact, it will be organized chronologically, reflecting the technological development in media. So only difference here between the chronological and thematic approach is what is emphasizing most. The role of internet and college going students. What is important? Whose role is important? So note, however, that more authentic thematic reviews tend to break away from the chronology or the chronological order. So a review organized in this matter or manner would shift between time period within which each section according the point is being made. Also, there is another approach of writing the literature review is a methodological approach. It focuses on the methods utilized by the researcher, internet, college going students, and their attitude. One methodological approach can be cultural differences, the regional differences, the colleges in city and colleges in rural area. So this can be a methodological approach. So a methodological scope will influence either the types of documents in the review or the way in which these documents are discussed. So, according to current situation, according to history, selection method, selection standards, and questions for further research, your literature review will go on. And now, once you have settled down with your method of writing the literature review, you are ready now to write the section. So you will use certain evidences. You will be selective as far as which papers, points, highlights in the review. You will use the quotes. Some short quotes are okay if you want to emphasize a point on. Then if what the author said just cannot be rewritten in your own words. So sometimes you may need to quote certain terms that were coined by the author and not common knowledge or taken directly from the study. So do not use extensive quotes as I have told you, but substitute your own summary interpretations in the literature. So summarize and synthesize. Remember to summarize, remember to synthesize within each paragraph as well as throughout the review. Recapitulate important features of research study and then synthesize it by rephrasing the study's significance and relate it to your own work. So use caution when paraphrasing because it will lead to then plagiarism, and you have to avoid plagiarism when you write review and when you write entire thesis or research paper. So you must avoid certain common mistakes which are observed in social science research literature. Source in your literature review do not clearly relate to your research problem. You do not take the sufficient time to define and identify the relevant sources. Rely exclusively on secondary analytical sources than primary research for literature review. Does not describe the search procedures that were used in literature review. Reports isolated statistical results rather than synthesizing them in chi-squared or meta-analytical methods, and only include research that validates the assumptions and does not consider contrary findings and alternative interpretations found in the literature. So once you all go to this, the next slide which I want to show you is identification of research gap. So what in the picture you can see, there is a one researcher who is searching out something and there is a huge gap. The gap is being filled out by the researcher a bit. How? With these three-step process. So research gap is a problem which is not addressed properly. This may be due to lack of sufficient information to support their claim and also literature gap which are the missing or incomplete piece of data in research literature which is not explored by earlier people. So as a researcher, you must read, you must review, you must evaluate, you must critically evaluate others' research. Try to find out what he or she has not covered in his research work and try to identify the gap out of this. And this research gap can be identified by citation analysis, systematic reviews, and in introduction section of research work. And finally, in the discussion and future research sections of the research paper, which researchers have already published. So the easiest way would be to read the specific parts of the article. Of course, there are hundreds of articles in your work, in your field, but you have to find the most suitable articles by measuring their value, finding out how influential these articles are, and after finding the most suitable article, you should examine the parts such as what is included in introduction, which always has sentences about the reasons for selecting this topic, conclusion section, and of course, suggestion for further research section, in which the author of the article have already examined the literature, conducted the research himself, would point his weak areas, lack of investigation areas, then you can point out the gap between the existing work and which gap you would like to fill up by doing your own research work. So, one other approach is to read the systematic reviews. These papers delve deep into the literature, examine the trends and changes in a discipline or specific field of study, and provide summary of literature. So, moreover, content analysis, citation analysis, meta analysis reports can be helpful, especially the reports to find out what previous researchers have done and what I should do in future to add to the existing pool of knowledge, add to the existing body of knowledge, so that I have to research on what to research and what to add to existing set of knowledge. So once you identify the research gap, you get to know the problem statement. And this problem statement will help you to formulate well defined research questions. And then from this, we can move to our next part of today's discussion, objectives and hypothesis framing. So far in the lecture, what all I have covered is, you can see on the screen, I have completed the difference between the topic and the title, how to narrow down the topic to have proper title. Then I have told you all the importance of keywords for doing the literature survey, then how to review the literature, then how to find out the gap between the existing literature work and the current thing which you want to focus upon. So this is about review of literature and identifying the gap. Now we shall move on to statement of problem. A research problem or a statement of problem. It is a statement about the area of concern, the condition to be improved, a difficulty to be eliminated, or troubling question that exists in the other literatures, in theories, or in practice, that points to the need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation of your topic. Here I will give you another example. Suppose nowadays every conference, every college is organizing on COVID-19 and its impact on, and they are giving so many themes, right? So COVID-19 pandemic is my topic of the study. Now, how will be my title? There are various angles as a researcher of commerce. I may take a study on impact of COVID-19 pandemic situation on small business firms or small entrepreneurs. This can be one of the title I can frame out of the topic of COVID-19 pandemic. Suppose I am a student of economics. I may frame the title as a study on impact of COVID-19 pandemic situation on GDP and GNP of nation. So this may be an exploratory research or a secondary data-based research. If I am a person of history, I may correlate the earlier pandemic situation and the current pandemic situation, and I may try to find out its the impact of that pandemic and the impact of current pandemic on overall history of India. If I am a common man and I'm interested, okay, I'm an educationist, I'm a teacher, I would like to know my students' perception towards online education through pandemic due to pandemic situation. So I may frame a title as a study on impact of pandemic on students' mindset while attending online lectures in Thane city. So this is a complete title package which I have given you with respect to topic of the study. Now, how will I frame the research problem statement over here? I may write the problem statement by introducing the reader to the importance of the topic being studied. The reader is originated to the significance of the study and the research questions and hypothesis to follow. Then I may write some places the problem into particular context that defines the parameters of what is to be investigated, provide the framework of reporting, the results indicates what is probably necessary to conduct the study and explain how the findings will present the information. So this is how I will write the problem statement. You may say, so what? Yes, in the social science, the research problem establishes the means by which you must answer the so what question. The so what question refers to a research problem surviving the relevancy test. Note, so what question requires a commitment on your part not only to show that you have reached the material, but yes, you have thought about its significance. So, to survive the so what question, you must have the clarity, a well written statement sweeping the generalizations, sweeping the irresponsible statements. You must identify of what would be studied while avoiding the use of value-added words and terms. Identification of overreaching the question, key factors or key variables of the research, articulation of the study, the boundaries, parameters, conveyance of the study, importance, benefits, and justification. So, regardless of type of research, it is important to address so what question by demonstrating that the research is not trivial, does not have unnecessary jargons in your writing, conveyance of more than mere gathering of descriptive data, providing the snapshot of issue or phenomena under the investigation. So once you arrive at statement problem, you need to focus on research questions. What are the research questions? It is a question that a study or research project aims to answer. This question addresses the issue or a problem, which through analysis, through interpretation of data, is answered in the study's conclusion. So, in most of the studies, the research question is written so that it outlines various aspects of the study, including population, variables to be studied, problem to be addressed, and so on. So, as their name implies, research questions are often grounded on research. As a result, these research questions are dynamic. This means researchers can change or refine the research question as they review related literature and develop the framework of the study. So while many research projects will focus on single research question, the larger studies often have more than one research question. According to Professor Hinton, I would like to say here the FINER criteria which you can use for having the research question. F stands for feasible. A good research question should be feasible. What does it mean? The question is well within the researcher's ability to investigate. It should not be dramatic one. Researchers should be realistic about the scale of research as well as the ability to collect the primary data, secondary data, complete the research within the stipulated time. Number two is interesting. The ideal research question must be interesting, not only to you, but also the one who are reading your research work, the peers, and the community, of course. So this interest boosts, the researcher's motivation to see the questions are answered, and I am true researcher. So N stands for novel. Your research question should be developed to bring new insights to the field of study. It should not be what people have already done. So the question may confirm or extend previous findings on the topic and what you are interested to find the theme. So it must be novel. Then it must be ethical. This is one of the most important consideration for making a research question. Your research question, your subsequent study must be something that review boards and appropriate authorities will approve. And then finally, it must be relevant. So your topic, your question should be relevant to the scientific community and the people who are involved in your area of the study. So your topic must be relevant to the public's interest and your own interest to carry the endeavor for 3 to 5 years in the PhD journey. So examples I would like to give here about the good and bad research question. I'm giving you one example. Chalo, you all know social media and it is affecting or affecting us. So if I want to find out that, my bad research question will be, how does social media affect people behavior? And the good can be, what effect does the daily use of YouTube have on attention span of children under the 16 age? So the first research question it's considered as bad because of vagueness of social media as a concept, and the question lacks specificity. And in second question, what I have done is, what effect does daily use of YouTube? So social media se leke I have synchronized it to YouTube. I have narrowed down it to YouTube, and so I have made it more specific, more focused, and it has answered, or its answer should be discovered through data collection and analysis. किससे data collect करोगे? You will collect the data from the children aged under 60. So my sample size is sample population or my samples are framed by me, and YouTube users also I have restricted than rather than complete social media package. So your research question must be proper. I hope you all are clear with this. Once, dear participants, you are clear with finer, or you are finer as per Houlet's principle, who has quoted in 2007, the next type or the next part which you have to focus is you have to frame the objectives of research work on the basis of research questions. While writing the objectives of any research, you must keep certain points in mind. The objectives should be clear, they should be concise, they should be attainable, they should be measurable, they should be quantifiable. So there should be one main aim of research and not more than 5 to 6 objectives when you do a PhD work. Or if you're writing a research paper, ideally 2 to 3 objectives are more than sufficient for you all. So this is because if there are too many objectives of the research, there are fair chances, of course, that data may be overloaded or data may be mismanaged and the study goes in vague and ambiguous. So one has to follow a SMART technique. What is SMART? The objectives must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, they must be realistic and time bound as far as research is concerned. Many a times it is observed that the objectives are written by the person like this: to study, to study, to study, and to study. All five objectives are written with the word to study. No. A true researcher will use some similar words for this: to study the relation between social media and its usage by the children, to analyze the impact of social media on results of the children, to evaluate the ranking amongst the social media patterns used by the students. I hope I'm clear with some synonym words. Yes, rather than using just the word to study and to study, you may use certain words such as to study, to understand, to evaluate, to discuss, to find out, and to give solution or to give suggestion, to compare, to measure, to discuss, to evaluate. These are certain similar words which a researcher can use while writing the objectives. So, for example, if I am doing a research on impact of television advertising on consumers' buying behavior, firstly, read the title of research very carefully. Write down whatever you understand by your title. This can be done easily by extracting few main terms from the title. What are the keywords in this? Television advertising, consumer buying behavior. So these two phrases are my keywords. So accordingly, I will download the material. I will do the previous step gives us fair idea for the direction of research. So we can easily say that the research will revolve around the concept of television advertising and buying behavior of consumers. So start stating the research objective by understanding the main terms. Kaise? Number one objective can be to explore and understand television advertising in detail. This can be my first objective of the study. Or it can be to explore meaning and of concepts of consumer buying behavior. So I may have a combined objective from these two is to understand and explore television advertising and consumer buying behavior in detail. This can be my first objective of the study. Now focus on basic purpose of research. In this present study, what is our main focus? to study the impact. किसका? Television advertising का. किस पे? Consumer buying behavior पे. So it is important to adopt the critical attitude towards research subject. What does it mean? Try to validate if there exists any relation between the main terms, so that the third objective can be framed by you to identify the relationship exists between TV ad and consumer buying behavior. I hope you are getting me. So first two objectives we have done is related to conceptual analysis of television advertising and conceptual understanding of consumer buying behavior. Now we have come to third objective by doing certain critical attitude. That is, we are trying to find out the relationship between TV ad and consumer behavior. So इसके ऊपर बाद में अपने को hypothesis frame करना है last में. Hope I am clear to each one of you. So next objective can directly pinpoint the purpose of research in hand. So it is to be remembered here that any research should bring into focus both positive and negative aspect of the research. So critical analysis is important part for any research work. So next objective can be to identify and critically analyze the impact of TV ads on consumer buying behavior. So I am here critically analyzing the TV ads impact and buying behavior. You all know, always it has been said that कार्टून नेटवर्क चैनल उनके ऊपर हमेशा आप देखो जंक फूड का या इंस्टेंट फूड का advertisements are shown by them, more catchy for the children consumers. And when you see daily soaps, you means housewives always see the daily soaps. So during that time, they may also show the ads of instant food such as MTR or what they do, dhoklas and all. They show typical suhana and all sort of spices ads to catch the attention of housewives. So certain time spans and certain advertisements have the impact on consumer buying behavior. अभी आप OTT प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाओ, OTT प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपको ये सब एड्स नहीं मिलेगा related to housewife. Why? Because OTT platform is more catching the attention of young generation of India. So the perfumes, body sprays, these kind of advertisements are more shown. So this is my review of literature and statement of gap analysis. And this I'm trying to put it in front of you through these research objectives. And finally, the last objective in most of the research relates to identifying the loopholes, identifying the challenge, and making recommendations to improve the situation. So this objective is to be written by keeping in mind what researcher is looking forward. What is the final destination? As such, the final objective of current research will be to identify the challenges involved in TV advertising and recommend the solutions to companies for getting more consumers. जैसे मैंने बोला OTT प्लेटफॉर्म पे ये इंस्टेंट फूड का एड दिखाया तो गड़बड़ हो गया. There won't be any consumer impulsiveness. Sorry, I'm not advertising any brand or any product, but as we have taken this topic, I have just given you the idea on how to frame the objectives of this title or of this pattern. So now, as we have discussed so far about topic and the title, literature review, we have done the gap analysis, We have formulated the statement problem. We have developed the research questions and yes, objectives too. We have come to the end of our session with hypothesis designing. This is main and very important part of any research work. And my topic to deliver today is the last topic of the day. Now, last 15 minutes perfectly, I will be guiding you on hypothesis. नाम तो सुना ही होगा hypothesis, and we all get worried when we hear and when we even write the word hypothesis. I will try to make it as simple as possible to you today in this beautiful afternoon. What is hypothesis? You all know, by definition, it is a proposition or a number of propositions that reflect the prediction. But I will give you simple ideology of me. As you can see on the screen, H0, H1. Problem, two solutions. How many solutions? Two. One is positive solution, other one is negative solution. This is according to me. Hypothesis. So, a hypothesis is a statement which assumes the relationship between two dependent variable and independent variable. So, in research, hypotheses provide the basis for data collection and data analysis. The data analysis is essentially application of research tools and techniques to prove or disprove the hypothesis. However, before testing, it is important to frame the hypothesis properly. This sometimes poses a challenge. So, not all types of research requires hypothesis. The need for framing the hypothesis stems from research question, research objectives, which we have done so far. So it depends on research approach, research time, the research method. So now, first, if you are doing a descriptive research, what is descriptive research? It is one which aims to collect the information and analyze it statistically to draw the conclusions. This research is called as descriptive research. For example, let a primary study want to investigate effect of organizational factors on job satisfaction of employee. So what is a dependent variable over here? Job satisfaction of employee. And what is an independent variable over here? Organizational factor. So इसमें क्या organizational factors हैं which influence the person to have the satisfaction on the job? First and foremost, remuneration, what is he receiving? Then what are the rewards he is getting? Relation with employees, training which is given by organization to him, workload on him, work pressure on him, scope for promotion in future. So the hypothesis in this case will test the effect of all these factors on the job satisfaction of the person. So I'll give you a trick over here. Suppose this is a piece of paper. On the left hand side, you write down all the independent variables, and on the right hand side, you write down the dependent variable. In our case, you know there are list of independent variables with one dependent variable, that is job satisfaction, right? So write down all up. I'm waiting. You must have a notebook with you. On the notebook, do one thing. Write down all the parameters or independent variables at right now. I'm dictating you. Write it down. Remuneration, reward, training, job engagement, workload, work pressure, I'll repeat. Even if you write 3 and 3 to 5, they are sufficient for me. Remuneration, reward, relation with employees, relation with employer, job engagement, workload, work pressure, scope for promotion, healthy environment at work. These are several independent variables on one dependent variable. Now, as you all have jotted down all independent ones on the left hand side, write down the main dependent variable on the right hand side, that is job satisfaction of employees. Hope you all have written along with me. I'm giving 1 minute to write it down. I hope you all have written. Yes, class? Okay. So, now how to frame the hypothesis we will do. We will simply from left hand side to right hand side have the line with the word effect. Let's do it word. बीच में आप दोनों के word लिखना effect. Okay. Now I am framing the null hypothesis. Organizational factors such as remuneration, reward, relation with employer employees, training, job engagement, healthy environment, scope for promotion. Now I'm writing null. Null is negative. So it will use the word no. Have no effect on, क्या है right side में लिखा हुआ? Job satisfaction of employees. So this is how you can have the arrow from left hand side to right hand side with the word filling up as effect. When it is a null hypothesis, you will have the word no. When it is an alternate hypothesis, which is a positive hypothesis, you will have the word only effect. So effect word, no effect and effect. Null hypothesis, negative hypothesis. Again, I'll tell you, left hand side, write down all independent variables. Right hand side, jot down the dependent variable. From each point, have a line. Match the pair कैसे करते हैं हम लोग? From left hand side to right hand side. Draw the or match the line and write down the word in between effect. So I am formulating a hypothesis now. Organizational factors. Rather, we will take each example. Remuneration and scope for promotion have no effect on job satisfaction of employees. Rewards and relation with employer have no effect on job satisfaction of employees. I may have the third hypothesis as job satisfaction of employees and remuneration, rewards, healthy environment are not dependent on each other. So I may have another hypothesis. Relation with employee and job satisfaction are independent of each other. So this is how, by using various words such as effect, not dependent, dependent, you may frame certain hypotheses. So, in short, make a flow chart before framing the hypothesis. This is called as conceptual framework, and it helps in framing the hypothesis in a systematic way. In the conceptual framework, list the independent variables or the factors on the left hand side, the dependent variable on right hand side, use an arrow in between, and the directionality of that arrow should be from independent variable to dependent variable. Following these conceptual framework, independent variables should come on the left-hand side of the hypothesis and the dependent variables should be on the right-hand side of the hypothesis. Now, which words you will use, I'm telling you. Include the words like impact, influence, effect, relationship, association within the hypothesis. I'll repeat the words impact, influence, effect, relationship, association so that you can frame your hypothesis properly. Now हम लोग देखें वो वाला hypothesis जो हमने किया है. Organizational factors have no impact on job satisfaction of employees. Organizational factors such as so and so have no influence on job satisfaction of employees. So H0 denotes the null hypothesis and HA or H1 denotes the alternate hypothesis. So you can use the words impact, influence, effect, relationship, association within the hypothesis, left hand side and right hand side, and match it properly. Your hypothesis statement gets ready. So a hypothesis often follows the basic format. If this, then this. If this will happen, then this will happen. One way to structure your hypothesis is to describe what will happen to the dependent variable if you make changes in independent variable. The basic format may be if these changes are made to certain independent variables, then it will observe a change in dependent variables. For example, students who eat breakfast will perform better in exams rather than who do not have the breakfast. So student is a dependent variable and eating the breakfast or not eating the breakfast is an independent variable. So you can have such various reasons for not securing marks on the left hand side and make it with right hand side by using the various words such as effect, influence, association, relationship and frame the hypothesis. So this is all about the hypothesis. So the first step before constructing a hypothesis is thorough review of existing literature on the topic of research. After the literature review, identify the gaps in the literature, then narrow down the research problem to fulfill the gap. The research problem needs to be stated in terms of research objectives or research questions. Following the research questions, identify dependent and independent variables, frame statements, frame hypotheses which reflect your prediction and which are testable in nature. So the results of hypothesis testing will be taught to you in coming classes. So that's all from my side to all of you. Thank you so much for patient listening. Thank you, one and all. Any questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am. There is one question, the difference between dependent variables and independent variables. One of the participants have asked.
Ma'am, that will be actually told to them in tomorrow's section of research methodology because
Okay.
that is a part, which is an exclusive part of dependent variable. But yes, as the name suggests, what is independent and dependent variable? I just want to. The dependent variable is a variable which is being tested and measured in an experiment, and independent is which is independent, can't be tested at all. Yeah. or which has a dependency on another one. So, you know, to give an overview, a dependent variable is a variable whose value change depend on the value of another variable that is an independent variable. So in scientific experiment, it is the variable being tested, so it is dependent, and its outcomes we know, so it is an independent one. So yes, this is all about dependent and independent variable. They are common in statistical modeling and analysis, research, mathematics, and various experimental science fields. So it is actually helpful in scientific study, especially.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am, for answering. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Shraddha Bhome ma'am for such a wonderful session. In this session, this session really helped our participants to understand review of literature and hypothesis in really easy words. During this session, we touched upon many topics like selection of your topic, research topic, then framing of title, review of literature, then research questions. It is very, very helpful for us. Objective of research and hypothesis. So I really thank you, ma'am. We are really blessed to have such great speakers with us for this workshop. And I thank all the participants for being so attentive. We had all so many comments in the comment section of YouTube Live also. So I would like to convey thank you from participants to Shraddha Bhome ma'am.
Even
Uh,
I am thankful to all the participants for listening patiently. And ma'am, I request you to share my PPT presentation on official groups for all of them.
Yes, and for the participants, I would like to inform you that the feedback link will be open for the next 10 minutes. You have to fill that feedback form for your attendance for the session, as well as the attendance link was shared in the starting of the session. So, and again, everybody has to be consistent for all these 7 days of the workshop, and then only certificates will be distributed. So I thank all the participants and Dr. Shraddha Bhome ma'am for today's session, and hope you all have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.